Well, thanks for clicking on to Vogan's European Outlook for it is Thursday, the 1st of December. Wow, we've reached winter 2022 2023, meteorologically speaking, anyway, at least. And finally, the winter forecast has literally just been released as this video has just commenced. So have a look at it and digest it and drop a comment. Let me know what you think about the content in it, what I say, perhaps even some of the parameters that I've looked at to determine the overall outcome that I think is going to take place. Timing of things is going to be, of course, near impossible to determine, but I do believe that we are going to see a winter with significant cold. I think the coldest period of the entire winter will be before Christmas. That is where we're going to see the longest period of sustained cold weather for particularly the UK, Ireland, northwestern Europe. But again, I could be wrong. I could be leaning too mild because I think that a large portion of January has the potential to be quite mild. A lot will determine the behaviour of the Mandrelian oscillation. It is going towards an unfavourable position within the equatorial region. That therefore means that it has built the cold pattern that we're going to see through at least the first possible 3 weeks of December. I think we could have a potential turn to milder towards the Christmas period. But then again, this pattern may lock in for longer than that. But the Mandrelian oscillation, I believe, is one of the key drivers to having this fast start to winter. We've seen the pattern evolve twice before now, September, then to an extent during November, and it's come back round again to deliver an early taste of winter for Europe, but also North America and also eastern portions of Asia as well. So I think it's going to be a very fascinating winter, actually. I do think that we have a mild spell during January. It turns colder during perhaps week 3, 4 of January. I think February could see the most extreme cold of the entire winter. So the longevity of cold, I think, comes during December. We'll have a period of sustained mild during January, and then I think it comes back perhaps at the end of January, early February. That is my overall summary of what I think winter is going to do. So do check that out. Just basically Google marvelandweather.com if you haven't already visited the site, you don't know anything about it, and please let me know what you think. But certainly we have got very interesting times to come. Tough times, I think, for people's pocket, as the heating will continue to blast in homes because the temperatures are going to come down, and it's going to be one of those things where I think especially older or people who have health issues are going to have to run their heating most of the day, and of course the cost will rise as a result of that, unfortunately. So we are, of course, mindful that despite enjoying cold, snow, potential and whatnot, that there is people out there that are afraid of what's coming. And it's not a case of, say, for example, just wishing, that you like a particular cold pattern. This has a major impact on people's lives, and we'll of course wait and see what it actually takes place, because I still don't know for sure yet the intensity of the cold that's coming. The Arctic oscillation, North Atlantic oscillation, is the most negative for December since 2010, I believe, but I'm struggling to buy into the fact that we get another 2010 type December. But who knows? This is CFSV2 weeklies. So this is week 1, and you've got a classic positive. When's the last time we even seen a block and high like that? Incredible stuff, extending from the Urals all the way across to pretty much North America. Then we've got, of course, week 2, and then you start to see the focus of the high shifting over towards Greenland, and we've got that connection all the way from nearly North America, not quite, but Bermuda anyway, that trough all the way extending underneath that. And that is a textbook cold pattern for week 2, which of course is the period between the 8th and the 15th of December. Then week 3, you notice here that the block starts to focus more towards the Baffin Straits and Alaska here. Do we start to see a turnaround taking place in the week before Christmas? But of course, even with the pattern changing, sometimes there's a very slow, gradual coming out of a cold spell, of course. Then, as we go to the period between Christmas and New Year, we reverse the upper air pattern over the northeast Atlantic. So we have the trough to the northwest, the ridge to the southwest. So therefore, you've got a positive North Atlantic oscillation. But that's off the CFS V2, and that, of course, is away towards the end of December. So it can change, of course. So looking at Europe, and well, let's have a look and see. Hopefully this has updated actually. But let's have a look at the temperature anomalies here, because here is week 1, and of course we're just starting to cool things down into the weekend. Week 2 is cold. Week 3 starting to pull out of it, if you notice here, between the 15th and the 22nd, and then we'll flip things around to warmer than normal towards Christmas and New Year. But again, like I say, we have to take this with a pinch of salt. Looking at the overall sea surface temperature anomalies here, this is 99 versus 2022, if I can get the right chart. So we've got a very different ocean temperature profile compared to what we had back, 20 years ago. We've continuously warmed things up, and therefore that is why I think it's harder to get a winter, a sustained 90-day period below normal across the UK, Europe, and indeed the Northern Hemisphere overall, because of the type of setup that we've got. But that is certainly a kind of, it looks very close to a tripole to me. Warm, cold, warm, and that can lead to a boost in pressure over the North Atlantic. So Madden-Julian oscillation is going through phases 8 into 1, into 2, into 3. So this is less conducive. So therefore we're starting to see the upward motion and the sinking air starting to become less favourable for high latitude blocking across the Northern Hemisphere as we go later into the month of December. This is the 50 millibar level, by the way, and this is quite important because the 10 millibar level is showing quite different. Now, I've already made mention about this kind of bottom-up pressure. Of course, building pressure, you start to warm the troposphere, therefore you start to affect the stratospheric polar vortex, and we are seeing eventually some influence on the stratospheric polar vortex. I do believe that we have an increased chance of seeing a stratospheric polar vortex split, if not sudden stratospheric warming, full stop. There is a possibility towards the end of December, and there is also a possibility, I think, later in the winter time. And I think one of the reasons why we could potentially get a cold February, or a cold spell during February that's stronger than anything over the whole winter, is because we have an increased chance, I believe, of sudden stratospheric warming this winter season. We've seen it quite frequently in recent years. We didn't have one potentially in 2022, so I think we're due one based on everything that's taking place at the moment. So we will watch this space. But notice here that at the moment we've got a trough at 50 millibars over the Arctic, Greenland, Iceland here. That is certainly not reflective of the 500 millibar level. But notice here the turnaround by the time we reach a week from now. You can see here that we are flipping the pattern at 50 millibars. We've warmed things up over the North Atlantic and Greenland. So therefore, the tropospheric polar vortex is responding to the high latitude blocking that we're seeing. And we're going to start to see the shift from strongest heights over Scandinavia towards Greenland. So we're going to eventually start to see winds more north-northeast as opposed to easterly, I think, anyway. And then notice here that I think as we go towards the 10-day period, we're starting to see the pattern changing at 50 millibars. Now, this is, of course, off the GFS ensemble, but notice here that we're starting to lower heights once again over North America and over the west of Greenland here. We've got a positive here over the UK as we go towards the end of the period. So let's go all the way out to 384 hours, sorry. And if I can do it, that is, we can see what's taking place. Notice here at 50 millibars, we've flipped things around. That there, folks, would indicate to me a positive North Atlantic oscillation coming back in play once again. So that is quite interesting to see. Looking at the 10 millibar level, this is how it's looking at the moment. Very strong, very robust polar vortex sitting just off the pole. Notice here as we go out to 10 days from now, 10 millibars, you can see here strong warming showing up over Siberia here. Is that the response to the high latitude blocking underneath? Possibly. And then as we go out to 384 hours, you notice here that we have got the return of a robust polar vortex almost directly over the pole. So what I think happens is we start to see a recovery in the tropospheric polar vortex at 50 millibars towards the period of Christmas, but we could in turn start to see a response above if we start to see warming pushing towards the pole. So there's a kind of counteracting here going on. We're seeing the weakening underneath at the moment. That is going to lead to the tropospheric polar vortex kind of splitting, one piece over North America, one piece over Europe, and possibly over Eastern Asia as well. But then what's going on above at 10 millibars could have an impact later down the road. So it's very complicated stuff, folks, and this is where I've had a hard time to determine where we're going with this winter. My overall ideas have been that I think it's going to be a milder than normal winter, but with cold spells in between. It's not going to be like a winter like last year where it almost didn't exist. So only time will tell. I think it's definitely the strongest Arctic oscillation, North Atlantic oscillation negative since 2010, but I'm struggling to buy into the fact that it's as cold as 2010. It would take a heck of a lot to do that, but I do think that the cold pattern is coming. I do think we are going to see snow. We are going to see very cold temperatures at times as well, and we shall wait and see what happens. I will have a December outlook hopefully in the next 24 hours released on the website as well. But do check out marathonweather.com and have a look at that winter forecast. That's it for today. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye for now.